We're going to have a fun one today. We've got what might be a first for some of you out there. We've got the Girsan Influencer X 1911 from our friends at EAA, but this is not just any Influencer X. This is the 38 Super version. Now, you may be wondering, wow, 38 Super, I've never heard of that. Well, if you're new to the firearms world, you may not be. And you may also be wondering, where do you get ammunition? How did you find ammunition for that? And luckily, our friends over at Ammo Inc., they just happened to make some 135 grain 38 Super in their signature Target series. And so, yeah, let's have a little fun with this thing. We're going to put some rounds downrange on steel right now. We're going to come back. Obviously, I've got the VelociRadar from Caldwell set up here. We're going to shoot for some groups. We're going to test some velocities. We're just going to overall have a whole lot of fun. Before we put rounds downrange, though, obviously safety's first. So let's get the Decibels custom molded earplugs in, and we will be ready to pull some triggers. All right, here we go. Safety down. That 38 Super, I don't know if you could tell, super flat shooting around there. That thing just, of course, this is a beefy gal, but not a whole lot of muzzle flip, or at least it didn't feel like. Let's jump over to the bench right quick. We're going to go over all of the features. You can see that this thing obviously is jam-packed with features. We're going to go over all the features, talk about this thing a little bit. Then we'll come back out to the range and we'll run some chronograph testing. Let's take a closer look here at the Girsan Influencer X 1911, shall we? And we'll start out, obviously, with some of the aesthetics and the color. We're looking at black slide, black controls on a tungsten frame, and also the tungsten barrel as well. Important to have the color, I think, in the barrel with the lightning cuts there in the slide. I think it really sets things off. Now, these are available for different chamberings. You've got 9mm, 10mm. You've got 45 ACP, and this one here, of course, 38 Super, which is pretty amazing. Government size, 1911 here. Forged steel frame, slide, and barrel on this puppy. That barrel is 5-inch and is reverse crowned. Overall length on this thing, 8 3/4 of an inch. It is it's a big girl because it is all steel, 40 ounce on the weight. Now the magazine capacity on this thing in 38 Super anyway there, 9 + 1 on that. And you do have the enhanced, I guess you could call it, magwell, which is really cool. Sights, it does come standard with the adjustable rear sight, which can be removed, and then you can use, of course, an RMSC optic on that thing, direct mount. In this case, I am using the Judge from Gideon Optics. I've got a couple other handguns with these on there. I've had really good luck. I use the green dot version, but everything works great. We talked about that the lightning cuts on this thing. It does have the lightning cuts in the slide there. I think that's probably more for aesthetic purposes than anything. As far as controls go, you do have ambidextrous safety on this. You have an extended beaver tail, always nice. That's becoming a pretty common thing with the handguns from Girsan, I think. Full length accessory rail. You don't see that too terribly often, but man, that sure is cool. And especially when you're talking about all metal frame, I believe it just sets it off. One of the really cool things I like about this is the grips. You can see there, if I turn it in the light just right, really nice textured, a gritty, grippy sandpaper style texture on those grips. And while the Girsans come with, decent grips for the most part, this is above and beyond by far the best set of grips I've ever seen on a Girsan. And then the best feeling too, by the way. And one of the other cool things is, if I get in the light just right, we've got EAA branding on one of the grips, and then on the other we have the Girsan branding. Just a nice little touch, I think, and it's really subtle. You can't really notice that depending on how you turn it, which I think makes for clean lines on this pistol. Now, trigger, probably wondering about the trigger, and the reason is they say this is a tuned trigger at 4.5 pounds, and that's something that I've got to be honest with here. In my measuring on this thing, I get, somewhere around 6 pounds on this. Now, all that being said, a couple of things. Number one, could my gauge be a little off? Yeah, absolutely. Certainly could. But with time, I think this trigger is going to be better than it is now. And that's not to say it's bad now. I would put this trigger at, somewhere around average, or maybe even a little bit better. Let's show you the reset on this. The reset is not a lot there. Pretty nice wall once you get to that reset. So, yeah, I'm okay with the trigger. I certainly wouldn't say the trigger is horrible or terrible. But again, if you pick up one of these and you do put it on a trigger gauge right out of the box without, quite a few rounds to it, really working that trigger in good, who knows? You might not get the 4.5 pounds that they say it is. All right, welcome back to the range. Let's get the Caldwell VelociRadar set up here, ready for a new string. Everything should be pointed down range. Now, this signature target ammo from Ammo Inc. Does give us a velocity on the box of 1175 with a 5-inch barrel in this Girsan Influencer X. I don't know what velocity that they, or barrel length, I should say, that they used for testing this. Ballistic data on this reads 1175 feet a second, 414 pounds of muzzle energy. We've got 1086 at 50 yards, it says, and energy at 50 yards. I can't read that. 353, I believe it says, foot pounds on that. So let's just see how close to that, 1175 we get with a little chrono testing here. All right, first round down range. Here we go. (1100 feet a second), so not bad. (1098), so right there in that 1100 feet a second range, it looks like. By the way, while we wait here, hopefully the wind and everything else is not just horrible on the mic. 1117 on that. Fourth round here. 1090. It is getting cold out here today too. And unfortunately, we got an error on that last round for some reason. But seems like the average is going to be right there in that 1100 feet a second range. Now I've got a target set up, 25 yards. Downrange, got a little bullseye target. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to shoot 4 groups on that. And to do so, we're obviously using the K-Zone, the front of anyway, the K-Zone shooting rest from MTM Case Guard. And we do have a heavy sandbag we're rested on. That right there should work. Chrono is still set up, it's still on, so we'll be able to tell velocities with this as well. Here we go. $11.04. So it looks like we're going to be right in that 1100 range for sure. All right, let's go down range and check that out. All right, down range 25 yards as the wind's blowing here. And yeah, jagged little horizontal group there. So not too shabby, but I do want to try one more accuracy test on this thing. Real quick, I noticed just checking out the new shirt. This is our latest collaboration with Camorado. This one called Shell Shock. Check out the colors. You figure out why. Leave me a comment down below if you get it figured out. But you can check out this design as well as all of the other ones over there. Camorado.com/CloverTac. There'll be a link down below. They've got jackets, hoodies, shirts, pajama pants, you name it, in all kinds of cool styles. And you can save 5% on your entire order if you use code CloverTac. So that group, not bad. As far as our velocities, they're staying around that 1100 feet a second. I've got a 5-spot little target down there. So 5 separate little bullseyes. And so want to shoot this thing, being able to shift that point of impact. It looks like from the shots we took a second ago, we're dialed in pretty good at 25 yards. See how consistent we can keep this thing on target. And shifting point of aim here is going to be interesting with a rest, but we're going to try it. Here we go. All right, let's go look at those 5 shots. See how we did. And not too bad, considering that I had to shift my point of aim. What are these? About an inch, a little more than an inch all the way across those. So keeping everything well within an inch, maybe even, a third of an inch or so. Overall, not a bad showing from the new Girsan Influencer X 1911 from EAA. Seemed to run fine. The Gideon Optics Judge, I'm happy with that. That's running well on this. Handles good. Very little muzzle flip. The trigger, as I talked about before, it's average. I think it will get better. The ammo, first time running any of the Ammo Inc. ammo, and all of it seemed to do fine as well. However, I do got to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Brownells, because when I found out that I was going to be working with a handgun in 38 Super, they helped me out with some 38 Super dies as well as some 38 Super brass, so that if I do have any difficulty finding ammunition, well, I could always do some hand loads. Yeah, it's going to do it for this one. We'll catch you on the next one, I suppose. Bye.